Okay, Audrey, I'm going to show you 3 pictures, and
Alright.
you are going to tell me what they look like.
Alright. That picture looks like a crewmate from Among Us.
An imposter.
Among Us?
It looks like Among Us.
A sus person.
That looks like a dog that was groomed to look like Among Us.
An imposter.
Among Us.
Among Us.
Among Us.
Crewmate.
Very
An
Among
imposter.
Us.
Sus.
Among Us.
Unless you've been living under a rock for the past 2 to 3 years, you'll recognize the name Among Us, the hit 2018 game where you try to do your tasks and simultaneously figure out who's killing all your friends. Or maybe you are that killer, simultaneously trying to blend in with the crowd and kill your friends at the same time. Either way, the game became massively popular in 2020 despite it having a fairly simple game format. Words associated with the game and memes around the game scour the internet like I've never seen before. Today, I want to look at the history of Among Us, why the game became so popular, and how that popularity impacted so many unsuspecting people. You see what I did there? Like Among Us, like sus. Okay, so to try to figure out what really got it popular, we need to look back at its history. The history of Among Us started long before the game ever started development, when friends Marcus Bromander and Forrest Willard first came together to combine their strengths and form Innersloth. Marcus Bromander, working on Henry Stickmin Collection before the team was formed, was the designer and artist of the team, while Forrest Willard, who was working at Microsoft at the time, was the programmer. Now, the two worked on a few games before ever working on Among Us, including games Dig to China, where you dig to China, an unnamed top-down ghost shooter game, and a game called Deitide, a 2 to 4 player battle arena game. Now, the game Deitide was a huge flop, but it did provide 2 really good things for the team. For one, the team would learn about popular game engine Unity, which would later be used to create Among Us, and it would help the team learn how to market and advertise their game. Second, it made the team bring in artist Amy Liu, who was a middle school friend of Marcus Bromander. After taking a bit of hiatus from Deitide and coming back to it and realizing it just wasn't going to work, Marcus came up with a new idea. He wanted to take popular card game Mafia and turn it into a mobile game. So, after they dropped the game, they started development on Among Us. Now, development of the game wasn't very easy at first. Testing of the game was hard because they needed to get a good group of their friends all in one place. Except they only managed to get 8 at a time. Another struggle was that Forrest still worked for Microsoft full-time, and Marcus lived 4 hours away from Forrest. Throughout all those struggles, Among Us still managed to drop their beta trailer in June of 2018, and the beta still managed to be released on itch.io in August and on Steam in November. Upon release, no one played the game. Now, this wasn't very surprising, due to the fact that similar games such as Save Your Hitler, which was an online version of the card game, and Werewolves Within all flopped tremendously. Now, even though there were little spikes in between the release of the beta and the big spike in 2020, it was nothing compared to that big inflow of players that happened during that spike. So, what exactly happened? Even though we see a massive spike in popularity in the game in 2020, there wasn't just one thing that made the game so massively popular in such a short amount of time. It was more of several different things that made the game snowball to popularity. So let's go through those things and find out why exactly Among Us became so popular in the first place. Streamers had a huge impact on Among Us. Almost every time Among Us became popular throughout its timeline, it was always because of a streamer or YouTuber. Among Us's first taste in popularity comes from popular YouTuber Kevin Choi, who brought in thousands of Korean players in December of 2018. Because of that, Korea is actually still a huge part of the player base for the game. Another spike comes from popular YouTuber Jodnot, a Brazilian YouTuber who brought in many Brazilian and European audiences. But either wasn't enough to fully spike the game until popular Twitch streamer Sodapoppin started streaming the game in July of 2020. Now, Sodapoppin originally started playing the game because it was recommended to him by a Twitch employee, and immediately he loved it and started getting his friends in on the game. After he started playing the game, thousands flocked to the game, including other popular streamers and YouTubers that only made the game more popular. Although streamers and YouTubers played a huge part in the game's popularity, they weren't the only reason why the game became popular. The popular game engine Steam actually helped the game boast a lot of followers when the developers were actually thinking about putting the game all together. Even though the game flopped upon release of the game on Steam in 2018, Steam actually reached out to Innersloth after seeing the game gain popularity to see if the team wanted to participate in a daily sale. The game would be featured on the front page of Steam as an on-sale game, and Innersloth agreed to the game being listed as 50% of its base price. The promotion gave the team an entire month's worth of sales, and actually encouraged Steam to put the game back on sale in summer of 2020. The summer sale, paired with the fact that many streamers were streaming the game at the time, I think boosted the game more than any streamer could have thought they ever could. Throughout the entire process of the game, there were many features that were changed that made the game even more popular without them even knowing. At the beginning of development for the game was only supposed to be local multiplayer, meaning that you could only play with people who were on the same Wi-Fi as you. Because of this, the game also had no sound. Because Innersloth had such a small fan base at the beginning, they were able to listen to each and every person and fix the issues as they come. Along with these issues, there was a huge issue with the addition of multiplayer mode. The game originally used free servers from Amazon that didn't work very well, so any spike in players would immediately cause the game to crash. Thankfully, before the big spike in players in 2020, that was fixed. Between the time that they fixed the servers and the big influx of players in 2020, they also added 2 maps, Mura HQ in August of 2019 and Polis in November of 2019. The maps were originally around $4 to buy, but they were later made free in June of 2020. Without these changes, I really don't think the game could have gotten anywhere near as popular as it did in 2020. I think one big contributor of the game that isn't really talked about much is COVID-19. With the entire shutdown of the world in 2020, the world was looking for something to do while also being safe and having fun with friends. Especially since a lot of kids had just now gotten out from school, Among Us was the perfect solution for boredom and communication issues. The game could be played over and over again, with new ways to play discovered every time, making it the final thing that made Among Us so popular. But, like all good things, everything comes to an end. It's summer of 2020 and everyone's on Among Us. They're calling their friends on Discord to play the game, creating memes about it online, watching their favorite content creators play the game, even watching AOC play it at one point. Life seems good for Innersloth. From the start to the end of September, Among Us went from 10 million to 100 million downloads on the Google Play Store. And in the same month, the game goes from 1.5 million concurrent players to 3.8 million concurrent players, doubling the value it had before. On YouTube, the game reaches 4 billion views, and the team even announces Among Us 2, but then cancels it, stating that they want to rework the code of the original game to get updates out faster to the fans. In addition to all that, the game wins 3 game awards, 2 for Best Multiplayer Game and Best Mobile Game, and a Golden Joystick for the Breakthrough Award. And in addition to all of that, Innersloth introduces Victoria Tran as community director. The only thing that could ruin their streak was the rise and fall of things on the internet, and that's exactly what happened. The game became not as fun to play, many content creators moved on to fun and new exciting games, and updates weren't coming out as fast as people wanted. Another thing was that the meme culture would heavily contribute to the game's downfall. The memes became unfunny, everyone started overusing words like sus and imposter, and everything looked like crewmates from the game. And as people started getting sick of the memes, they started getting sick of the game. Because of that, you can see around November of 2020 that the game took a huge downfall in players. So after its downfall, how's it doing today? As of today, the game is still getting updates. If you haven't played the game since 2020, I would highly recommend that you go play it. It feels and looks a lot different than the same game we played in 2020. There's the addition of accounts to try to deter hacking, there's roles now, which make the game even more similar to its inspiration, and the addition of a new map inspired by the Henry Stickmin collection, the same game that Marcus worked on before officially joining Innersloth. The last update on November 19th of 2021 adds 4 new roles, new cosmetics, and actually announced that they have a League of Legends and BTS collab, which I think is really weird. Even though the game doesn't have the popularity that it once did, it still seems like the game is doing pretty well for itself. But with no plans of stopping soon, Innersloth seems to be on a good plan of success. Even though Among Us had a lot of struggles in its upbringing, Its tale is an inspiration to any game developers who hope to make it in the industry. Even though from a purely business standpoint, it would have made sense for Innersoft to give up on Among Us months ago, they wouldn't have had the success they had today if they had. And because they didn't give up on the game, I truly believe that this game will go down in history as one of the most popular games in the 2000s, among games like Minecraft and Fortnite. I'm honestly really glad that I did this project because I never would have thought that Among Us had anything to give other than face value what the game is. But the history behind the game is actually really inspiring, and it was a lot of fun to look up. And even though I can't look at a fire alarm the same way that I did before I played the game, I really wouldn't change the experience for anything else. Because what Among Us is a simple game that took the world by storm when it really deserved to. So, thank you for watching.